My man! Welcome to the show. How are you? Really excited as a parent and as a person of color to have our guest today. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey guys, what's up? It's Irfan. Super excited to have my next guest on the show. His name is Michael Milani, coming to you from New York. He is the CEO of Mondeum Financial. Michael, welcome to the show. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me, Irfan. I appreciate the really excited intro about me. So I'm going to have to be a lot more interesting than I usually am. So thanks for that.
Sure. It comes from the heart, though. It really does. I can't even fake that. But before we get started, can you tell me about the jersey behind you and what is the significance? I can't pronounce the name.
I am a Villanova basketball fan. I went to Villanova. And in 2016, Villanova won the national championship. I was there in Houston when they won. The most valuable player of the tournament was Ryan Arcidiacono. He's in the NBA now. He was at the Knicks for a little bit, and I believe he's with Portland now. That's the signed jersey. It wasn't game worn or anything. I'm a huge Villanova basketball fan, so I like to have it behind me. I got a couple other ones that I shift here for different podcasts and things, but that's who you're getting today. So one of my favorite all-time Villanova basketball players, and he's staring you in the face, Ryan Arcidiacono.
I love it. So Michael, full disclosure, you and I have known each other for, I want to say, going on at least 5 years.
2018, 2017, when I became a Roosterly client myself. Absolutely.
Yes. So could you tell us what Mondeum Financial does in layman's terms, and then after you do that, tell us about your journey to Mondeum and how you started and how you got to where you are.
Yeah. All right. So Mondeum Financial is a holding company, actually. It owns a couple of different things, but one of the main assets it has is a company called Mondeum Financial, which is a FINRA broker-dealer, which I'm the CEO as well. Mondeum Financial and Mondeum Capital. Mondeum Capital, rather, is a broker-dealer specializing in active traders and active trading. So think investing and trading being two completely different components within side financial services. Investing is you've got a son and you want him to go to college or be okay financially or whatever. So you go out and you make investments on behalf of whoever, and you're buying Apple and Tesla and mutual funds and whatever. The trading community is really more about technical analysis, shorter term, sort of cash flow trading, looking for short-term inefficiencies in the market, and capitalizing on those. So the suite of tools or the suite of assets you would need for a investment firm versus a trading firm are different, right? We're not providing research or making stock recommendations or telling a client, yeah, you need to buy this or put this in your 401k and we're expected this rate of return over X number of years. We're focused on how do we make our commissions and routing charges cheaper? How do we have routing efficiency in terms of the best liquidity in the market for the cheapest prices? How do we build smart order routers that are specific to certain traders' trading strategies? How do we get the biggest bang for our buck in terms of short locate and stock loan and making sure we have enough inventory for traders to be able to short the stuff that they need to at any given time at a reasonable price? So the focus is for active trading broker-dealers and the focus is for investing applications are two totally different things. And again, we are on the far right end of the spectrum in terms of we're looking for active traders that are, super hyper active in the markets that are looking for short-term movements. How did I get started in this? I was always sort of infatuated with Wall Street, even the movie Wall Street growing up. I remember watching it with Michael Douglas. Greed is good. But I always knew I wanted to be successful like most people do. I wasn't sure quite how to get there. I did not have a background on Wall Street, meaning like my parents or my cousins. I don't have a rich uncle that worked at Goldman Sachs or anything like that. But when I graduated from Villanova, as we talked about, I was in wealth management for a little bit, sort of prospecting, building portfolios, prospecting a lot of European clients, things like that, in sort of the tech boom. So Microsoft, Cisco, Sun Microsystems, JDS Uniphase, a lot of the old sort of high-flying stocks are out there. So the focus was reaching out to executives of those companies, getting them to diversify their stock holdings, cashless exercises, those kinds of things. When the bubble burst in 2001, I did not know what to do. So I kind of went crawling home to my dad and said, hey, listen, you got this shipping company. I want to come work with you for a little bit. Very quickly realized that I wanted to kind of carve my own path, and, sort of be on my own with stuff. So I worked for a company, day trading essentially, learned the ropes, learned how to, sort of promote my craft and everything else, started running trading desks, of which I was now training traders to trade in certain strategies. Again, I probably could not trade my way out of a paper bag these days, but I did have a run. I thought I was pretty good at it. Got hooked up with some proprietary trading firms, again, working with professional traders, teaching them strategies, risk management, that kind of stuff. 2017, 18 is where we met and where my LinkedIn profile started to kind of take off with Roosterly's help and obviously under your tutelage. So I moved on from where I was in 2019. Middle of COVID, I was sort of consulting for a couple of different people, trying to figure out what my next move was, and founded Mondeum in the middle of that sort of time of my life, so to speak. We were all kind of trapped in the house, figuring out what our next move was, and markets were flying. And I said to myself, listen, I'd love to run my own firm. Founded Mondeum. We went live the end of last year. We've been live for close to a year now. It's been an uphill battle. It's definitely not 2020, 2021 in terms of acquiring new customers, and everybody wants to trade sort of in a high interest rate environment. But we're doing a great job. At least I feel like, for the customers that we have. We have a strong, loyal following that we're looking to build on every day. And that's where we are. I saw you a couple of weeks back, or a couple months back, in Chicago. We had dinner before I spoke on a panel at the hotel in Chicago. You and I always have good dinners when I come see you. And so it's great seeing you again.
One of the things on that note, you're sort of the such a natural networker, I would say, right? And there are a lot of traders that are very much the antithesis of you, meaning they've got their multiple screens up. They're not necessarily the most social individuals. But from the moment I met you, you're always positive energy, very gregarious, and at the same time very analytical. So equal parts right brain and left brain. Is that sort of what you think has allowed you to stand out a little bit from the crowd? Is that something that you cultivated? Did it come naturally to you?
I don't think anything ever came natural. I'm definitely a big believer in sort of nurture over nature. At least I am. But yeah, I always tell the story of where I kind of came from, because my first job in brokerage was not self-directed trading, watching charts and looking for entries and exit points. It was really more on the sales side. So I had to learn how to pick up the phone and call someone, or network to get new accounts or the new business or whatever. And then I really enjoyed the act of trading, to be honest with you. I don't know if I was as good of a trader as I thought I was at the time, because over the years you meet a lot of really talented traders who have bigger risk appetites and bigger risk tolerances. And you're right, a lot of the traders, when I was working with my PR firm in terms of figuring out what our customer profile was, they asked me to send them pictures of people that I thought were good traders. It was not what they expected. So when you're looking online and you'll say, well, this guy must be or woman must be a great trader. They've got the Omar P. Gay watch, and they're standing in front of a Lamborghini, and they've got the house at the beach and the whole thing. Most of the best traders that I've seen do not look like that. They are in a basement somewhere. They're watching sports center at 6 or 7, because they're watching games at the end of the night, because they've got this constant sort of alpha-ish competitive drive in them. So they don't look like the flashy influencers that you see online that are, making it rain at whatever clubs they're at all night. They're much more respectful of their capital, and they realize, day to day what risk management is. I think it's really important. But yeah, I mean, I think that from my perspective, I was lucky enough to be involved in Wall Street at a young age, right out of school. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I am a reader, so I read a lot, whether it's articles on my phone or full books or somebody will say, "Oh, read Atomic Habits," and I'm digging through it, and at 4 a.m. when I get up. But I think that my ability to kind of talk the talk from a trading perspective, understanding really what an active trader goes through on a day-to-day basis, because I did this myself. It's not like I'm speaking about it from a very academic standpoint. Like I was in practice with this. I got sick some nights when I went home and my account blew up, or I caught a great trade and I had to level set myself the next day to make sure I didn't get what I call the Superman complex, to think that I was unshakable on day two. So I think that when a guy like me steps in and says, "Listen, I can run a brokerage firm. I really understand my customer base." I can say with confidence, I do really understand our customer base, what they need, what they're looking for. But you're right. What you would think an active trader looks like or talks like is not what they do. They're all sort of down to earth people from my perspective, analytical, very. A lot of them aren't are not as antisocial as you would think, but they got involved in the trading business because they did not want to be in sales. They wanted to be in a very high octane, high upside kind of environment. They're very risk taking in the way they approach things. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you met 20 of these traders, they would not be what you expected. And a lot of these guys are my friends. I talk to a lot of them every day.
Wow. Did you thrive? Do you thrive in the volatile nature of trading, or maybe in the early days more so than now?
I wouldn't say thrive, because I don't think anyone that gets involved with this enjoys the volatile nature of anything, right? What we all want is safety and security and everything else. Now, remember, traders that get involved, that are successful in the trading business, I don't think they thrive on volatility. They thrive on understanding risk. And they realize that in order to achieve very high performing things, that there needs to be risk associated with on the other side. It's not all just hard work and dedication and focus. There's risk that's associated with it. And you know this from being a business owner and being involved in a lot of different things. We talked about some of your real estate visions and things that you want to focus on. So all of those things take a certain amount of risk, assuming a certain amount of risk on to achieve, whether it's financial gain or business success or whatever it is. So again, I wouldn't say I thrive in volatile environments. I think I understand the risks of them. I think as I've gotten older, I've become a lot more patient in the way that I approach things. I used to be the hothead that would, strike first and think second, or shoot first, aim second. Now I think as a product of me being a little bit older, I'm much better at it now than I was when I was younger. So I think it's more of a product of patience than anything.
Got it. Talk to me a little bit about when you started Mondeum and grew your team at Mondeum. What were sort of your checklist of things that you wanted to, milestones, if you will, or characteristics even, that you wanted to incorporate into the structure of the company to really set it apart? Because it is, as you well know, a very competitive marketplace, and you've been able to build sort of a foundation of folks that are very loyal, not only internally in the company, but folks that talk positively about you. So can you explain the recipe or the ingredients that went into building where you're Mondeum to where
the word
it is right
recipe, yeah, the word recipe would imply that it's sort of a finished product, and I don't think that it is. And again, we certainly have a foundation for what we're building. Again, I'm a firm believer, and I know a lot of CEOs or founders get threatened by this. I need people around me that are smarter than me. I always joke with you, like, you're a hell of a lot smarter than I am. I may be able to walk you through certain ways I would approach things, but you wouldn't want me programming or operating on you, I'll put it that way. But when I'm going out and looking for people that I kind of want to surround myself with, if I'm looking for people that do what I do, but not as good as me, because I need to shine and thrive wherever I am, I'm not going to go very far. So, and this has been a common theme for me in my whole career. I am constantly surrounded by people that are better than me at all the things that I'm terrible at. I'm really good at a handful of things. I am terrible at a lot of the other stuff. So I need to make sure whether it's my compliance department, my operations department, my sales and marketing teams, to make sure that I've got talented people around me and that I give them the wherewithal to be in a supportive environment, and more importantly, let them make some mistakes on their own. Let them handle these things the way they handle them versus me saying, no, do this my way. If I knew exactly how to do everything, I wouldn't need everybody. I'll just roll salaries up into me and do everything myself. I cannot. So again, whether it's my accounting department, I've always joked I'm terrible at accounting with spreadsheets. I am awful with financial statements and things like that. So I'm constantly needing help from JC, our CFO, who's going to walk us through things, or Preston, my chief compliance officer, who knows more about this stuff than anybody. And most importantly, that I respect his opinion when he says, Mike, can't do it this way. We have to do it this way because I understand the regulations. I don't want to argue with him. I just want to agree. So like Steve Jobs had that line where you don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. You hire smart people so they can tell you what to do. I'm a big believer in that. The most important thing for me when I'm hiring somebody, and again, I'm lucky enough now that our team is small enough that I have great relationships literally with everyone because I've worked with them in other walks of life before. I sort of picked up all these pieces, puzzle pieces that were floating around out there and said, hey, listen, these are the guys that I want, or the people that I want to focus on me with Mondeum. I really wanted to build something that was customer first. And I think that especially in the brokerage business, as a lot of these mega broker dealers have popped up that have millions of customers, you can't possibly give that level of service to millions of customers. So we wanted to say, we want to be at the top end of the spectrum, larger accounts, active traders that are very fluid in the markets, that are almost unicorns in the sense of the kind of customer they are. And I couldn't handle 1 million accounts. If I had 10,000 accounts, I'd be thrilled. But our focus here is really on providing a different level of service to that very unique customer. And I want my employees and the people that are on my side of this to be accountable. I want them to be available, and I want them to make sure that they are on top of their game. We are communicative. We are on top of things. The way you and I communicate. Hey, listen, what time's our podcast? It's at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Eastern or Central? Okay, no, Eastern. Great. So we have all of our ducks in a row before we get started. I demand that of my team as well, because that's the way that I am. You call me any hour of the day. I mean, I go to bed early, so don't call me after 9:30. But 9:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm asleep. Anything else other than that, I'm the first person to respond. And my team has to be the same way because we're dealing with a very sophisticated, very needy customer type that we want to service.
Got it. And was there something specific about this customer type, this particular niche or audience, that made you want to go after them?
Yeah, well, I think I understand. Yeah, I think I understand this customer base just based on my career better than most people do. Right, you're dealing with an active, almost professional style customer that has a lot of sophisticated questions, that understands market structure, that understands technology benefits, understands latency. How quickly are my orders getting to the market? How quickly are they being? What's holding them up? What are the issues? So you can't deal with them on a very, very retail level like a lot of big brokers can. So they're asking very specific questions. We need to tailor them in a very specific way. And if you don't know your end of this, you're going to be exposed very, very quickly. So the question that you said earlier is, we're in an outrageously competitive space, outrageously competitive. And there's a lot of brokers out there and a lot of firms out there that are backed by huge private equity firms that have a lot more capital, a lot more resources. So how do we stand out in this? It's by having a real dedication to the customer first and saying, reach out to us. We're going to communicate with you. We're going to walk through the software. We're going to build you routing strategies. You get to choose which routes you want, but we can build certain things based on your specifications, where I think they're not getting a lot of these services at the brokers that they're at now. So the Richard Branson thing of don't start a business, solve a problem. That was really the problem that we were looking to solve, because the questions that I was getting from a lot of the retail brokerage community out there was, I'm just a number at this firm. Nobody's walking me through this. Nobody can help me with this or that or the other thing. And that's kind of the niche that we wanted to fit into. Now, are we going to have problems getting to a bigger scale? Again, Robinhood, for instance, has millions of customers. Could I service millions of customers with my current infrastructure? No, I could not. But if we're able to get to that sort of equilibrium point of how many customers we need to become profitable and to do additional development and whatnot, I think we're going to be a destination for a lot of these very specific traders that need a very specific service. And that's who would come to Mondeum, because Mondeum is not for everybody. It's for experienced active traders that have a high degree of sophistication of what they're looking for.
Wow. I think that's a testament to the breadth and depth of your experience, because it's really easy. It's easier, I should say, to serve an unsophisticated buyer, but a sophisticated buyer who knows exactly what they want, and are very detail oriented and very demanding. That requires a whole nother level of proficiency, understanding nuances, details, making sure that they've got that white glove level of service. So that's really exciting to be able to execute on something that requires that level of skill. There's no shortcuts there, clearly.
It's been a grind, and we're doing it every day.
Right.
But remember, you're talking about that sophisticated versus unsophisticated. I don't think the word is unsophisticated. I think it's more of like a neophyte trader that's entering the marketplace. There have been a lot of brokerage firms that have done a great job over the last couple of years in servicing that marketplace. So nobody needed us there. At least I didn't feel like we were needed there. There's a lot of other companies that do a great job. But I think that what COVID did was it introduced millions, tens of millions of new investors and new traders into the marketplace that said, hey, listen, this is really interesting. I'm really good at this. I really want to make trading a bigger part of my life. So they almost started out with these neophyte brokers or these zero commission brokers. And then over time, we'll say, hey, listen, I really want to step my game up. I want access to more professional trading software or specialized routing or bigger short lists or more competitive pricing based on routing functionality. And like I said, that's who we're targeting, is those traders that came out of COVID that said, hey, listen, I want to be professional traders. I want to make this a bigger part of my arsenal. We need a broker that can help us do that. And that's where Mondeum sits, in my opinion.
What do you think is the biggest misconception so far that the marketplace has about Mondeum currently?
I think there's a lot of distrust for new brokers in general, right? We're living in a time now. FTX, I think, was a big setback to new brokers, where a lot of the crypto firms out there came under a lot of pressure because of the way they were handling things. Or you had big banks like Silicon Valley Bank that go under at a time like this. So I think rightfully so, a lot of people have to be careful with where they put their money these days. They want to make sure that they're with places that are stable, places that are doing things the right way, places that have the right insurance, places that are not acting in an unethical manner. And I think you've had some bad stories here over the last couple of years of places where maybe my money's not safe. So the biggest challenge that I think we have as a new broker is getting our name out there, being shown as sort of a trusted place where people can focus. And that's why I enjoy doing a lot of these podcasts or a lot of these live events. I spoke on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange a couple of weeks ago. You and I have been talking about doing this for a while. I actually sent that interview to you and say, Irfan, take a look at this. Look at me on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. But I think a lot of that, what it does is it puts a face to your firm rather than we're just a website, and says, the other thing too is we wanted to make sure that our names and faces were on the website. Mondeum isn't just a nameless, faceless broker-dealer in New York. It's me. It's Preston. It's JC. It's the people that are on our team that we think make this up. So that's where we want people to kind of entrust in us being a new broker and say, hey, listen, we're forward-facing. We're putting our names on this, and we're a place that you can trust.
Got it. What have been some of your biggest wins over the past 36 months?
Well, I think the biggest win that we've had was launching it all. I've been in the brokerage business for 25 years. I have never built a broker top down like this before, where we're setting everything up from technology and OMSs. And again, we built some of this technology ourselves in terms of our onboarding portal and money transfers and things like that. We really wanted to own our own technology to a certain degree. So again, the biggest win that I had was the day we acquired our first customer and we were actually placing live trades, because it was sort of like, we took so long to do this. Somebody said, can you build a broker dealer? Of course I can. Then you see what that entails, whether it's the compliance and regulatory aspect, the finances and focus reports, whether it's just access and technology. It was a lot. So just that first trade that we placed saying, hey, listen, we're live, was very exhilarating for our team. Now, like I said, not the easiest market out there right now. The trading has been better, but in terms of acquiring new customers and, I think that the retail brokerage business is reeling a little bit. They're flying so high after COVID. But like everything, the markets are cyclical. We'll wait the storm out like everyone else, and I think we'll be stronger on the other side.
Very cool. To that end, what is Mondeum doing specifically to increase their user base?
We have a lot of things in the pipeline in terms of developments that we're making, new asset classes, ability to onboard different kinds of customers. Again, our offering right now is very plain vanilla. It's not as sophisticated as we would like it to be. So what we're doing is that we have, I can show you in the other room, I've got a whiteboard of a list of all the different things that we're looking to focus on, but they're all development related. Again, like I said, options, futures, potentially crypto. And again, these aren't things we have in the pipeline. These are things that we're discussing. Again, enhancements to our portal to make sure that we can, again, onboard different kinds of customers, corporate customers, IRAs, all these kinds of things that we're discussing. So I think the future of Mondeum is in the development of its product and its products. Adding new trading platforms is always another thing that we're looking to do. But yeah, right now it's challenging because we've got a lot of balls in the air. We have a lot of things in the queue to say, hey, listen, where do we do our next focus? Where should our dollars and resources be spent, which is going to be the most bang for our buck? And I think that's the real challenge for us now in such a tight, difficult environment.
It's interesting. When I launched my, prior to Roosterly, a business, we were selling websites. This was years ago. And we didn't have a website of our own, right? And what was interesting was that I was able to successfully sell websites despite not having one or having any portfolio to show people that, hey, I've done all this work. What's interesting about that? Part of it is there is a natural desire to want to build out a strong suite of services and have all the things that, people, the grass is always greener on the other side. So you're seeing your competitors and they've got this and they've got this and they've got all these sort of shiny, fancy functionality, whatever it is. And some of my darkest days were the ones where I thought, man, there's no way I can compete with these 20 people in this local, small Chicago market. Not that small, but you get the idea. And then once you're actually out there and you're like, look, this is what we do. We're really good at this. Take a shot. And then you actually get someone, and that feeling is like, wow, okay, I actually have a real life client. They're spending real money. Crap, I better get to work. And now after you have a few of those, then it becomes easier. Do you find it challenging? This is a very sort of obtuse way to ask a question, but do you find it challenging to balance all this potential functionality that you could have if you had millions more dollars to build it out versus saying, hey, this is what we currently have, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client. We can crush it for you. Come check us out for this. How do you make those strategic decisions as a CEO to say, no, we really got to build more of this out, or nope, I'm just going to leave exactly what we have here and I'm going to go after tons more clients and bring them onto the platform. How does that work? And that's got to be really sort of this I can't imagine it's easy. I've been through it, but I would love to get your perspective.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Your question reminded me of the movie Back to School when Rodney Dangerfield's sitting in the chair and the teacher comes over and goes, "I only have one question." And he goes, "Oh, thank God." He goes, "In 27 parts." So this is your 27-part question. Um, yeah, I think it's very challenging, right? I think that we're doing a lot of talking to our trader base to say, what are you looking for? And again, a lot of them are saying, I'd open an account with you tomorrow, but I want options, or I want portfolio margin, or I want crypto, or do you have this platform? So what you can't get hung up on is one person coming to you and saying, oh, your product would be better if you had this or that or the other thing. You just have to look at it in an aggregate and say, we're going to need to spend money and time and resources in order to develop out these other product lines. Where are we going to make the most money? Where is it the easiest for us to do this? Where what's the path, the easiest path to sort of a minimum viable product to get this thing up and running, and then where do we go from there? So it's a lot of roadmaps and it's a lot of details and things like that. Again, the problem is for the active trading spaces, almost all the competitors that we have are already doing all of these things. They've got a 20-year head start on this. So that's what's making this very, very challenging. So originally my thing was, listen, we trade equities and ETFs. That's it. We're good at it. We know it. This is what we're focused on. We're not going to be everything to everybody. And that's what I said earlier. If you're looking for an investing platform, we are not for you. Go somewhere else. There's a million other brokers out there that do a much better job of it than we do. And we need to be honest with ourselves first and foremost, say, hey, listen, who are we? What do we do? What are we good at? And who are we not? Now, over time, as you're acquiring clients and you're bringing in new business and your business is growing, you want to be more things to more people. And whether it's, again, asset classes or different technology stacks or whatnot, I always love when I hear somebody, and you and I talked about this, they'll say, oh, listen, why would you use that third-party software? I'll just build my own. Well, I tried that, and we did build our own, but it was like a 2-year project, and every time we had a mirror or another scope of work, or what's the next ETA on this, my head was exploding. I was looking around at these smarter people saying, what do we do now? And then kind of making decisions based on the people around me. But it's really, really challenging, especially, like I said, you're in this private equity world now. All of your competitors seem to have deeper pockets than you do. All of your competitors seem to be building things that you can't build. They all have, MIT programmers on their team that are in some other country that's cheaper to live. So they're getting better talent at cheaper pricing to build bigger things than you're building. So again, we looked at this and said, we want to be focus on a very specific niche, which we are. We lose clients sometimes to say, listen, I love what you're saying. I know you from XYZ. I'd love to work with you, but you don't offer this and that and the other thing. So every time we hear that from a client or a group of clients, I go to my old school board with not my Sharpie, with my erasable pen, start writing things down and say, listen, where do I want to be 6 months from now, 12 months from now? And based on the resourcing that we have, we're putting these things into play. And but again, going back to something you and I talk about, it's not as easy to build these things as I had once thought. So when I see somebody like you, and full disclosure, I'm an advisory board member on Worcester. That's why Arfan and I got to know each other. Hearing that you took an idea and turned it into a product is a big testament to any technology company out there, but yours specifically, because I'm sort of intimate with your product. I'm a user and I'm on the advisory board. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge challenge for people. And I think after 6 or 12 months, you always look back and say, man, I made a left. I should have made a right, or I should have developed more internally and less externally. There's all these different things we need to focus on. And I hope we're doing a good job. And so far, I think we are, but time will tell as time goes on.
As a CEO, I know you personally as somebody who puts a lot of pressure on themselves. We've had several discussions, and you motivate me in a lot of ways, to be more driven, to be more passionate, to seek out things that I really care about and pursue them. How do you, let's talk sort about, let's start talking a little bit about your typical day. When does it start? What do you do? How do you stay focused? What's your routine like?
Sure. I have never used an alarm clock in my life. And it's not because, I don't know why it is, but every morning, 4:30, I'm awake. I could be up late that night before, although I'm usually not. I could have done something. I could have been out. Doesn't matter. 4:30, I'm up every morning. I like having an hour or two in the morning to reply to my emails. Focus on like what my battle plan is for the day. I'm always looking into the portal, who signed up the day before, looking at the trades from the day before, making sure that our ducks are in a row so that by the time everybody else wakes up, I've already have a game plan. I love sending emails at 4 or 5 in the morning to show everyone that I'm awake, to see, well, are you awake yet? Because I'm ahead of you already. Again, I try to get to my office at by 8 o'clock. I have a small office in town. I live on Long Island, so I have a 6-minute commute, which I'm really, really happy about. And I sort of have a game plan of all the people that I work with start getting phone calls from me at 8 o'clock, 8:01, 8:05, 8:07, 8:08. I try to work it out of a very structured thing. Never have more than 2 cups of coffee in the morning. I have one at 4 in the morning and I have another one before I leave the house. Market opens at 9, depending on what, or 9:30 rather, depending on what sort of things are popping in on my day. I've got I only live off of my invites. So you and I have had conversations before where I'm like, what time are we talking? 2 o'clock. I don't have an invite. You don't exist. So I got to make sure that my invites all get situated and I know where I'm going to be at what times and everything else. And if it's not there, it doesn't exist. I always take a half an hour out in the middle of the day, just take a walk around the block, clear my head, get out of here for a little bit. I'm usually out of here by 6 at night, focusing on the things I'm focused on. A lot of people say I love it. Well, at 7 o'clock, I'm turning my business mind off and I'm focusing on the family. I don't have the ability to do that. So there are times where I'm in the middle of a game of Uno with my kids and the phone will ring and it'll be a client or it'll be a business partner or a compliance guy or whatever. Guys, I got to take this. And it's a 24-hour a day thing. Saturdays and Sundays I work. Again, I try to have that family time where I'm focused on, I got a wife, I got 3 kids, I have a dog. They all take up a lot of time. I know you've got the screwball as your son. I've got 3 of my own little screwballs. But yeah, I'm very diligent and structured about the way that I handle my day. Again, I could be going to the gym more, something I really need to focus on as I get older. I could be sitting down. Again, I'm a networker. So if somebody comes out for lunch, or that's where I do a lot of my best conversations and things like that. But yeah, I'm up at 4 in the morning. I'm in bed by 9:30. I take my phone to bed with me. I know it's a terrible thing, but I'm on my phone up to the last minute. I hate when I text somebody or email them and they text me right back. So I try to be the example for that. If I'm texting you back, you got to be texting me back, or reaching out to me, or calling me, or whatever. But yeah, I mean that's really where I'm focused, and try to be as diligent as I can.
When you look at your role as CEO of Mondeum, how do you define it for the average person? Is it, hey, I'm much more the strategy guy, I'm much more the vision guy, or hey, I'm the guy who goes and drums up business, or it's a combination of all three? How does that happen?
I'm very front office.
Okay.
So I am not back office by any means. And what I mean by that is all the back office functions at a broker dealer, I'm not particularly talented at. I respect compliance. We are a compliance first firm. My chief compliance officer worked with FINRA for a while. But I'm not here to analyze or overanalyze what any of the experts that I kind of brought into this are saying to me. Yeah, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to prod. I'm going to push. And where are we with this from a technology standpoint? Where are our deadlines? But by and large, you surround yourself with people where you respect their opinion. And when I get a phone call that says, hey, we need to move this money to here and pay down this or whatever we're doing for our focus filings, I look at it, I ask the right questions and move ahead with it, right? So if somebody were to ask me what my function is here, I am very front office. I'm forward facing to customers, I'm forward facing to vendors, I'm forward facing on podcasts, on marketing and sales and branding. I am very forward facing in everything that we're doing, so that the smarter, more diligent people that are sort of behind me in the back office can do their jobs, and I can focus on what I'm good at, and they can focus on what they're good at.
Where would you like to see Mondium 12 months from now?
A lot more clients. I'll say that much. I would love us to be saturated with clients where I'm hiring at a crazy pace, right? But yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing right now. Our infrastructure is built, our technology is solid, our compliance is tight. Everything else
Mhm.
is tight as a drum, at least from my perspective. What we need to do is we need to add clients um, at a more rapid pace. We need to focus a lot more on marketing and branding to get our name out there a little bit more. I think the more people that know about us and hear about us and say, hey, listen, and I'm very vocal about this. We're not the best place for everybody. We are not the best firm for every customer out there. For our very specific niche of customers, I tell them, give us an opportunity, give us a shot. We're waiving all the platform fees for the first 3 months on the two platforms that we offer to say, hey, listen, let's make this an easy decision for you. Open an account, let's try us out. If you're happy with it, wonderful. You found a great broker. We're happy to have you. We're more important. You're more important to us than you probably are at your current brokers. And we want you to feel that way. But yeah, I think that over the course of the next 12 months, we need to do a better job of getting our name out there, more live events, more again, live trader events where I can actually speak one-on-one to a lot of these traders, more branding events, more digital marketing, just getting our name out there, driving more traffic to the site, and getting more content like this up here to say, hey, listen, we're real people. We're really focused on our business. We're really, really good at what we do. At least we feel like we are. Give us an opportunity to get that message out there. I think that's what we need to do a better job
Gosh. Okay. And you've already mapped out a plan and a strategy to for customer acquisition.
Yes, it pivots a lot
Okay.
based on and we talked about this as well. What's working, what's not working? How do we acquire these customers? How do we not? What messages are resonating to which lists and which focuses that we have out there? So, and again, right now we're dealing with a high interest rate environment where a lot of our competitors are making special deals and cutting offers and free this and everything else. So it's challenging, but I like to think that if I can get my message out there to the community that we're looking to speak to. And I think we have a compelling argument. I think we have a good argument and a good place for and a reasoning as to why someone should work with us. And that's all we can ask for is give us a fighting chance on the market battlefield out there and let us put our best foot forward.
And it seems like your live events have done pretty well. You've gone out. You're sort of the champion. You're the face of the company. You're shaking hands, kissing babies, and I think for you're probably the ideal person to be in that role because I'm not a trader by any stretch of the imagination. I'm very sort of, I've got something that I've been doing, for a very long time, and it just kind of goes and goes and goes. Um, but you had me interested, like you had me all psyched up, despite being 180 degrees from like your ideal client. So that's pretty cool. Do you see that that's sort of going to be your role over the next 6, 8, 12, 24 months even?
Yeah, I think that that's my natural fit in a lot of this. Is sort of being, we talked about shaking hands and kissing babies and everything else and being out there, just getting the message out there, being the face of all of it. Like I said, being sort of the mouthpiece, customer facing, vendor facing. That's really where I see myself. That's been my whole career. Like we talked about networking. I'm a sort of a serial networker. That's why Bruce always helped me so much in terms of getting my scope out there and the amount of followers on LinkedIn specifically and Twitter to get them up so that my message can get out there a little bit more. But yeah, I like we said before, I'm very much front office of all of this, and I will continue to be because I think that's where my strength lies. And remember, if somebody comes along that's better at it or more passionate about it or can do a better job than I can do, and that will come at some point because I'm sure there's plenty of better front office guys out there than I am. I welcome the fact to bring those kinds of people in and say, hey, listen, if you can do this better than me, more power to you. Let's figure a way to grow this safely, quickly, being very healthy with the growth of the business. And we'll welcome that if that day comes as well. But for right now, yes, I'm very front office to the business and everybody else in the back office.
Given, again, going back to my comment about how much pressure you put on yourself in America and maybe in other parts of the world as well, uh, there's always a sort of instant gratification, grow as quickly as possible, light the ships on fire, batten down the hatch, whatever you want to call it. How do you manage that? And there's that, and then there's like reality. Sometimes things that are complex just take time. There's no substitute for that. How do you process that and manage other people's expectations?
Uh, Listen, and we talk a lot. If our business was growing twice as fast as it is, I still wouldn't be happy. Um, and that's just the reality of it. Remember, everyone that starts a business, any kind of business, thinks that, okay, I'm going to turn the lights on. If I build it, they will come, and you're expecting the floodgates of all these customers to come flying through the door, and that doesn't happen a lot of the time. So and we've definitely focused a lot more on like I said, how do we develop our product? How do we reach a wider range of customers? How do we do a lot of these things that I think can help us grow at a pace that I would be happy with? But to be honest with you, no matter how fast we're growing, I think we should be growing faster. And that, I guess, that's a testament to the way that I look at things and the way that I focus on things. No one's going to outwork me or outwork my team. No one's going to be faster to communicating with you or getting the answers that you need, because I'm sort of standing over the whole thing saying, listen, that's not the way we do things, guys. We are accountable, we're accessible, we're forward facing to our customers and making sure that they have everything they need, or they can find a different product that, if we're not better than our competition, they're going to find a better product somewhere else. So we really need to be doing this better and cleaner than everybody else. But I think the focus as we get bigger is, how do we maintain the high level of service that we have right now for our customers with twice the amount of customers, 4 or 5 times the amount of customers? And I think that's where this could become challenging for us. Now, again, I would love that all of a sudden our user count increases by 5 times, and I'm saying, hey, listen, I'm understaffed. Give me that problem, and I'll be very happy with it. And I've got plans in my head as to how we can grow into it. But for right now, we're plodding along. We're acquiring customers at a reasonable pace, and we're looking to do the best job we can.
Got it. What's a book that you've read recently that has had an impact on you that you would recommend to others in a leadership role?
I liked Atomic Habits. It's literally, I thought it was great. Again, one of the speeches that I gave, I was in San Diego. I talked about the Al Pacino movie about Any Given Sunday, where at the end he's got the very famous speech, and he talks about football's a game of inches, and it's someone who's willing to fight for that extra inch, small units of measurement that are going to be successful. It's not a game of yards. It's not a game of 100 yards. It's a game of inches. So Atomic Habits had a lot of that, talking about small changes to your daily life and to the habits that you have on a day-to-day basis are going to make bigger changes for you in life. And again, that's something definitely that I need to, because remember, we both have the same. We've got lives and families and businesses, and we have other aspirations, and we're trying to do all these things all at the same time. And sometimes as it gets bigger and you get older, things fall between the cracks. I'm not as maybe sharp with a lot of these things as I once was, because now I'm focusing on 50 different things and not 5. So I like to read books like that I think are sort of inspiring to me, where I get off, I close the book on the beach or wherever I am and say, hey, listen, I'm going to implement that into my regular life. Or I'm dealing with a problem and we're talking about what's our next asset class. And I think back to something that I read in that book and say, hey, listen, I think this could fit with us here. But yeah, that was the last book that I read where I was kind of like, listen, I'm really glad I read this. Actually, I always buy the books in hardcover and I lend them out. So I lent that one out to a couple different people. Hopefully I get it back so I can read it again. But if not, I've read it. It's all up here.
Yeah. Fascinating. Really cool. Really cool. What advice do you have for somebody who wants to go down a similar path as you, and started out in sales, had successfully more and more opportunities of increasing responsibility, and founded a firm, and the CEO of the firm, managing employees and technology development and all that stuff. You know, lives in a nice part of the world, and all these sorts of components. Do you get a chance to enjoy all that stuff? Do you recognize that what you've done, or is it like you're just go go go? And so I'm asking you multiple questions, but can you take each of those?
Yeah, I think the word quality of life to me means a lot more now than it did when I was 25 years old. It's actually my birthday today. I'm 47 today. So thank you. But yeah, I think quality of life means a lot more to me now than it did. And I think, again, having kids and being able to wake up and have breakfast with them, or watch a movie with them before they go to bed, or take them to the movies on a Saturday night or whatever, I think is a lot more important to me now than it was. Again, the money is important. Don't get me wrong, and it's more than money. It's success. It's having a project that you have your name on. I'm accountable for it, and you're watching this flourish. So that's why I think I put a lot of pressure on myself with whatever I'm doing, because I feel like I want to own it. Whether it's Mondeum or other jobs that I've had, or a client that I bring on, I say, listen, you're working with me now. Everything that you need, we're going to take care of. I take that to heart, because that your reputation is everything. But I think that's one of those things where, as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little bit more patient. I've gotten a little bit more focused on, family first, and focusing on me and a little bit of my health. And like I said, I gotta, instead of getting out here for 15 minutes a day, I should get out for an hour a day, and I should go to the physical therapist for my shoulder, and focus on all the things that I'm focusing on that I'm not, because I've got a stack of papers on my desk that I need to do whatever with. But again, I think that I am not as go 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 as I maybe once was. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of people around me to kind of fill in where I have gaps in my career and my life. And I think that as I get older, focusing more on me, my family, the day to day, how do I put this? The day to day routine of my life, it will be increasingly important. And hopefully I can maintain the same level of success that I feel like I've had by focusing on business as well as personal time.
Got it. Who are you looking to network with, and what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
I think that the issue, and something you mentioned before, like, what advice would you give to somebody that is, again, wants to be in the brokerage business, or wants to be successful at something, or a CEO or whatever? The one thing that I think I should be better with is on the technology side of things. So I'm always intrigued by guys like yourself that have a really good handle on programming and databases, and how to build things, and how to turn a concept into a product. And I think that growing up, had I been more focused on taking coding classes, or programming, or cloud, understanding, how things operate in the cloud, I think it would have helped my career more so, rather than having to lean on third-party people all the time and say, hey, listen, my CTO is going to answer this, or our programmers are working on this. I'm not saying I ever would have been a coder or a programmer, because I don't think I have the aptitude for that. But understanding a little bit more as to what that takes, I think, would have been something that I probably should have focused on a little bit more earlier in my career, because now it's probably just too late. I try to read all that stuff, but it's a little bit over my head. But yeah, no, I mean, that would be the one thing that I would have done differently career wise, as I got older. And I think that's something that these days I'm sort of catching up on a little bit by surrounding myself with the right people.
Awesome. Michael Milani, CEO of Mondeum Financial, thank you. It is always a pleasure to chat with you. It's so much fun. We might have to do a follow-up to this a year from now. Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Very fun. Good seeing you, man.